next door in Syria kills their own people, there's no way we would let them lay hands on our kids, as foreign dictators have done for thousands of years.
You picked a song for your floor routine in the Olympics that every Jewish kid knows. Whether their families came from the shtetls of Eastern Europe, the Asian steppes of Azerbaijan, the mountains of Morocco, or the kibbutzim of northern Israel. It's that song that drew almost everyone at the Israeli army-based gym to the TV as soon as the report about you came on the news this morning. After showing your floor exercise to Hava Nagila, the announcer told about your gold medal with unmasked pride, and of your decision to dedicate it to the Israeli athletes who were killed in the Munich Olympics in 1972. There were some tough people at the gym, Aly, men and women, battalion commanders from intelligence, captains from the Navy, lieutenants from the Armored Corps, and more. You probably understand that words like bravery and heroism carry a lot of weight coming from them, as does a standing ovation, even from the people doing ab exercises. There is nothing apologetic about what you did. For so long, we've had to apologize for who we are, for how we dress, for our beliefs, for the way we look. It seems like the International Olympic Committee wanted to keep that tradition. Quiet, Jews. Keep your tragedy on the sidelines. Don't disturb our party. They didn't count on an 18-year-old girl in a leotard. There wasn't one person at the gym who didn't know what it was like to give back to our people. Not one who didn't know what happened to the good people who died in 1972. Not one who didn't feel personally insulted by their complete neglect in the London Olympics, the 40-year anniversary of their deaths, and not one who didn't connect with your graceful tribute in their honor. Thank you for standing up against an injustice that was done to our people. As I was walking back to my machine at the gym, I caught one of the officers give a long salute to your image on television. I think that says it all. Sincerely, Dan Yejudin, Officer, Israeli Defense Force.
Wow, after watching that movie, I'm ready to do my floor routine. Rick, you want to join me? No? Okay, I guess I'll just start my speech then. Thank you all for having me here tonight. Hava Nagila means so much to the Jewish community around the world, and after competing to it for the last 2 years, it will have a special place in my heart for the rest of my life. I'd like to talk to you about dreams. We all dream, but to most of us, we don't know what our dreams mean. We have good dreams, bad dreams, and dreams that we can't recall no matter how hard we try. I can remember dreams that I had from a young age, but no dream I ever had was bigger and more vivid than my Olympic dream that I started when I was just 8 years old. That was the year my mother gave me a VHS recording of the 1996 Women's Olympic Gymnastics team from the Atlanta, Georgia Olympics. They were the first and only team to win the team gold medal before my teammates and I did this past summer in London. The tape became the motor for my dreams, and I used it for motivation over the next decade until I realized that my dreams had a legitimate chance of coming true. It is important to remember to never ever stop dreaming, no matter how big your dreams might be. Without dreams, what is pushing us to accomplish great things and to be better people? At 8 years old, I was fascinated with the Magnificent Seven and wanted to be just like them. I was obsessed and had every score memorized. I remember picturing the Olympic podium in my head, hoping that one day I would be able to stand at the top of one. I was young, too young to know what it would eventually take to one day become an Olympian. But I guess one of the best things about youth is that you can dream big, that anything seems possible. And what I've learned over the last 10 years is that 9 times out of 10, if you never give up on your dreams, you will work tirelessly to see them through in the end. When I first watched the VHS tape in 2002, my Olympic dream was born. Every time I watched the tape, it gave me more inspiration to learn a new skill and try to improve in the gym. Eventually, I became one of the best in the state of Massachusetts, then one of the best in the Northeast, and then one of the best in the country. And then, after 10 years of hard work, dedication, both tears of sadness and tears of joy, I became an Olympic champion. If my mom didn't give me that tape as an 8-year-old, I don't know that it all would have turned out the same way. My experiences in London this summer changed my life, and not because of any medals that I won, newspapers that I was in, or TV shows that I was on. My life changed because I went to London as an 18-year-old girl wanting to accomplish my lifelong dream of competing at the Olympics, and left London with a new perspective on what that dream meant to me and to the people that watched the Olympics. Shortly after the post-Olympic madness slowed down, I was able to reflect on my experience in London and what it meant. Oftentimes, when we are so busy working, we have a hard time picking our heads up, looking around, and seeing some of the things taking place in the world. The same was true for me in the years I spent tirelessly working in the gym. But in the same time since London, I have a new appreciation for my experiences and how they have influenced, inspired, and infected others around the world. There are 3 things that have happened to me over the last 2 months that have made me understand that my Olympic dream was bigger than I ever realized. First, it is no secret to all of you that Hava Nagila was the music that I chose to perform to in my floor routine. It is a song that has a connection to all of us. And let's be honest, who in the audience doesn't want to clap, dance, and get out of their seat when they hear it? It was the perfect song for my floor routine. It had rhythm, it was vibrant, it got people into it, and it had a special connection to my family who watched me compete from all over the country. Shortly after the Olympics, my rabbi received a letter from a woman whose mother was a Holocaust survivor. She watched the Olympic gymnastics events on TV, and her mother saw me perform the Hava Nagila. She told her daughter, "I never thought in my lifetime I'd see a Jew at the Olympics dancing the Hava Nagila in front of Russians, Germans, and people of all nations. And it was no big deal. Everyone was okay with it. And even more, everyone said she was doing great." As soon as I heard this story, I was overcome with emotion. I had never looked at it that way before. For I was always so focused on training, competing, and ultimately chasing my dream of winning an Olympic gold medal. I realized that while I was chasing that childhood dream through London, I was also sharing a sense of pride with the Jewish community throughout the world. It was just 40 years prior, at the 1972 Munich Olympics, that 11 Israeli athletes were taken hostage and killed. 36 years before Munich, it was the 1936 Berlin Olympics, where American Jesse Owens put together a string of performances that were impressive for their athletic feats, but more so the statement that he made to the rest of the world through those feats, specifically Hitler. But here I was, 76 years after Jesse Owens and 40 years after the Munich 11, competing to the most famous Jewish song in history, in front of Germans, Russians, and people from all over the world. Looking back on my time in London, I have a full appreciation for what it meant outside of the athletic arena, and I cannot explain how proud that makes me. The second event that has helped me understand the magnitude of my Olympic dream also occurred during the London Olympics, and again, it took place away from the mats. Danielle Yagudim, who you heard them read the letter, an Israeli soldier, wrote an open letter to me and posted it on his Facebook page after he watched me compete on the floor exercise. His letter shared his thoughts and feelings on how proud the Israeli Defense Forces were when they watched me perform the Hava Nagila, how I had become a source of inspiration for all of them, and how he hoped to one day meet me and share his feelings of pride in person. At the end of the letter, he said, one of the highest-ranking military officials in his platoon watched a replay of my floor exercise himself. With Hava Nagila blaring proudly throughout the O2 arena, This decorated military man who had sacrificed and fought for his country stood there silently. When I finished my routine, Danielle explained that this man saluted to the TV screen, turned around, and walked away. To this day, I struggle to find words that warrant a response to that. Even though I am not an Israeli native, I respect and admire and look up to the soldiers who fight for their freedom. By the time I got back to my room in the Athletes' Village that night, I had received a lot of emails from family members asking if I had seen the letter that had gone viral over the internet. When I read the letter for the first time, I remember feeling amazed, even a bit overwhelmed, because I still hadn't fully comprehended the true meaning of my Olympic accomplishments beyond what they meant to me. It wasn't until mid-December, when I spoke at an event for the Friends of Israeli Defense Forces, that I started to see how my Olympic dreams had a positive influence on the Jewish community all over the world. That night in December, I prepared to address an audience of a few hundred Jewish people, just like tonight. To my surprise, the FIDF had arranged for Danielle to attend the event and walk onto the stage, reading the letter he wrote to me in London. I was speechless on stage, and became even more so when he presented me with a Medal of Honor from the FIDF and military tags with my name on them. When he explained that these two items were generally reserved for the Israelis in the military for people of Israel that had served the country with great honor, I thought he might have mistaken me for someone else. The moment will stay with me forever. As a child, I dreamt of the Olympics, the podium, and winning a medal. But I never thought to dream even bigger, because I thought that was the biggest thing I could reach for an aspiring young gymnast. I reflect on my Olympic experience with a different mindset than when I went into it. And a lot of that has to do with the support that I have received from family, friends, fans, and the Jewish community around the world. I have new dreams today, and those dreams are to inspire anyone to reach for great heights, because we are all capable of accomplishing anything we set our minds to. The final event that helped me realize how my Olympic dream affected people outside of my life happened shortly after the FIDF event, when the Sandy Hook Elementary School tragedy shook the world on December 14th. I was shocked, saddened, and angered that something like that could ever happen, let alone to 5- and 6-year-old kids. Newtown is 2 hours from where I live in Needham, Massachusetts. It is a small town just like Needham, so it hit close to home for me. I didn't know what, if anything, I could do to help their shaken community, but I knew I wanted to do something. 2 weeks after the shooting, I visited Newtown, Connecticut's Youth Academy and played with the kids who were lucky enough to escape from the school that December 14th morning. To be able to help them escape the horror and remove themselves from the sadness that had taken over their lives for 2 weeks was special for me and unlike anything I have ever felt. Before I was about to leave the Youth Academy to visit a local gym, one of the mothers came up to me and told me her younger daughter had said that spending a few hours with me was the best day of her life. This nearly brought me to tears for obvious reasons, but I mustered the strength to say thank you and give her a hug. Following my visit to the Youth Academy, I went to a local gym to meet with kids to do a question and answer. When I got there, I learned that the gym had lost 8 kids on that tragic day of December 14th. And I was again speechless. I have never been through anything close to what those kids have already been through, but I knew I had the opportunity to lift their spirits, even if it was just for a few hours. To see the excitement of the kids when they lined up to get an autograph and give me a hug or a high five was an incredible feeling. By this point, I had already realized that my Olympic experience was far bigger than winning a few medals. The few hours I shared with the kids of Newtown, Connecticut showed me something new. It showed me that in following my dreams that began in 2002, I now have the gift to reach out and inspire other people, specifically our youth. To me, that is more important than any medal I could ever win. In a time of mourning and sorrow, I was able to connect with these kids on a personal level and make them genuinely smile. Some parents said it was the happiest they had ever seen their kids, and others couldn't thank me enough. But when I was leaving, I was thanking all of them for giving me the opportunity to share the gift of friendship with them. Through winning gold, bronze, and even missing the podium, I have always prided myself on the ability to stay grounded and to continue to work towards my goals. From the letter my rabbi received to the letter I received to my day in Newtown, Connecticut, I have learned a lot about myself, the power of the Olympics, and the power of inspiration. Looking back on the 8-year-old girl that was obsessed with the VHS tape of the 1996 Olympic gymnastics team, I still can't believe where I am today. The Olympic Creed states that the most important thing in the Olympic Games is not to win, but to take part. Just as the most important thing in life is not the triumph, but the struggle. The essential thing is not to have conquered, but to have fought well. This quote rings true for all Olympians, for the Olympics are the greatest athletic event in the world. They are one time every 4 years where the best athletes come together from all over the world to share the experience that we all started dreaming about as young, aspiring athletes. To have competed in the Olympics was something I have worked for since I was 8 years old. I was satisfied to have made the team, but I never wanted to stop there. Competing in the Olympics and being part of the United States' second ever gold medal winning team was a proud moment and one that I will cherish forever. But I wasn't going to let that change my determination for the rest of the games. When I won bronze on the balance beam, after winning a tiebreak for the final podium spot, I was beyond excited to win my first individual medal. But I was still hungry for more. When I won the United States' first ever gold medal on the floor exercise, those dreams from the previous 10 years had finally come true, and a new set of dreams were born. Since that last day in London, I have realized how special it was to not only compete to Hava Nagila in front of millions, and to do so with such a sense of pride, but to win on the 40th anniversary of Munich 1972. I wanted to represent not only my country, but also the Jewish community around the world. And I never realized the tremendous amount of support and love I would get from everyone, and for that I will be forever thankful. People always ask me what is the best advice I have for young athletes, and what is the secret to reaching the highest level. To be honest, there really is no secret. The recipe for success begins and ends with hard work, believing in yourself, and chasing a dream. That is what I set out to do as an 8-year-old gymnast who was inspired by a videotape of a group of girls competing for an Olympic